Most people think they are weak because life is hard, because things don't go their way, because they lack opportunities. But that is not the truth. The real reason most people feel weak is because they cannot control themselves. Their emotions control them, their thoughts control them, their habits control them. They react without thinking. They give in without resistance. They quit without a fight. And over time, this becomes their identity, weak, not because they were born that way, but because they trained themselves that way, without realizing it. The Stoics understood something powerful. Strength is not built in the gym, it is built in the mind. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius did not become strong because life was easy. He became strong because he controlled how he responded to it. And that is the difference between those who feel powerless and those who feel in control. If you cannot control your reactions, you cannot control your life. And if you cannot control your life, you will always feel weak. But there is one skill that changes everything: self-control. If you master this, you master your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, and your future. If you want to build that level of control, subscribe to the channel, because this is where strong minds are built. 1. You react too fast. The moment something happens, most people react instantly without thinking, without pausing, without control. Someone says something negative, they respond emotionally. Something goes wrong, they get frustrated. Something feels uncomfortable, they escape. This is the pattern, reaction without awareness. And this is where weakness begins, because when you react instantly, you are not in control, you are being controlled by emotions, by impulses, by external events. The philosopher Epictetus taught that it is not events that disturb us, but our reactions to them. And those reactions happen fast, so fast that most people never question them. But a strong person does something different. They pause, even for a moment. They create space between what happens and how they respond. And in that space, they take control. Because now they are not reacting, they are choosing. Each time you pause before reacting, you build strength. Each time you react instantly, you reinforce weakness. This is the difference between someone who is controlled and someone who is in control, because awareness is where change begins. 2. You follow every urge. There is a quiet force that controls most people's lives. Urges. The urge to check your phone, the urge to procrastinate, the urge to avoid discomfort, the urge to choose what is easy. And most people follow these urges without question. They feel it, and they act on it, immediately, without resistance. And over time, this creates a habit, a pattern of weakness, because each time you follow an urge, you lose control. You teach your mind that it does not need discipline, that it does not need to resist, that it can do whatever feels good. And that is dangerous, because comfort becomes your master. The Stoics trained themselves to resist, to endure, to choose what is right over what is easy. The philosopher Seneca believed that true freedom comes from self-control, not from doing whatever you want, but from controlling what you want. A strong person does not follow every urge. They question it, they observe it, they decide whether to act on it. Each time you resist an unnecessary urge, you build discipline. Each time you give in, you weaken it. This is the battle, and it is happening constantly, because control begins with resistance. 3. You avoid discomfort. Discomfort is where strength is built, but most people run from it. They avoid it, they delay it, they replace it with comfort. Because comfort feels good. It is easy, it is familiar, but it is also dangerous, because it keeps you the same. Every time you choose comfort over discomfort, you choose weakness, not immediately, but gradually. You become less disciplined, less focused, less resilient, because you are not challenging yourself, you are not growing. The Stoics did the opposite. They embraced discomfort. They trained themselves to endure difficulty because they understood that life will not always be easy, and if you are not prepared, you will struggle. The philosopher Epictetus believed that hardship is necessary for growth, that strength is built through resistance, not ease. A strong person does not avoid discomfort. They lean into it, they face it, they use it. Each time you choose discomfort, you build resilience. Each time you avoid it, you stay the same. This is the difference between growth and stagnation. If this message is helping you see that pattern, subscribe to the channel, because growth begins where comfort ends. 4. You let your mind control you. Most people believe they are in control of their mind, but they are not. They follow every thought, every fear, every doubt, without question. A negative thought appears, and they believe it. An anxious idea forms, and they react to it. A memory resurfaces, and it changes their mood. And just like that, their state is controlled. Not by reality, but by their thinking. This is the silent trap. Because your mind can create problems that do not exist. It can exaggerate, distort, imagine outcomes that never happen. And if you are not aware of this, you become a prisoner to it. The philosopher Epictetus taught that you must not trust every impression, because not every thought is true, and not every thought is useful. A strong person understands this. They observe their mind. They do not blindly follow it. They question it. They challenge it. They decide which thoughts deserve attention, because attention is power. What you focus on grows. If you focus on fear, fear expands. If you focus on clarity, clarity strengthens. If you focus on action, progress begins. Each time you question a negative thought, you weaken its control. Each time you follow it without awareness, you strengthen it. Over time, this creates a shift. You become calmer, more focused, more in control, because now your mind is not leading you, you are leading it. Because your mind should work for you, not against you. 5. You lack discipline. This is the truth most people avoid. They say they want success. They say they want change. They say they want control. But their actions do not match. They rely on motivation. They act when they feel like it. They stop when they don't. And because motivation is temporary, their progress is inconsistent. This is where weakness grows, in inconsistency, in hesitation, in dependence on feelings. The Stoics understood something different. Discipline is more important than motivation, because motivation fades, but discipline remains. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily to act, even when he did not feel like it, because action should not depend on emotion. It should depend on principle. A strong person does not ask, "Do I feel like doing this?" They ask, "Is this necessary?" And if it is, they act. This is discipline, simple but powerful, because it creates consistency, and consistency creates results. Each time you act with discipline, you build strength. Each time you rely on motivation, you weaken it. Over time, this becomes your identity, disciplined or inconsistent, because discipline is the foundation of strength. 6. You fear discomfort more than you desire growth. There is a hidden conflict inside most people. They want growth, they want success, they want a better life, but at the same time, they avoid discomfort. And this creates a problem, because growth requires discomfort, effort, struggle, challenge. But most people prioritize comfort. They choose what feels good now over what will make them better later. And because of that, they remain stuck, not because they lack ability, but because they avoid difficulty. The philosopher Seneca believed that difficulty is necessary for growth, that strength is built through resistance, not ease. A strong person understands this. They do not fear discomfort. They use it. They see it as a signal, a sign that they are growing. Each time you choose discomfort, you build strength. Each time you avoid it, you stay the same. This is the trade, and it is always present. If you want growth, you must accept discomfort. There is no other way. If this message is helping you see that clearly, subscribe to the channel, because strength is built through resistance. 7. You make too many excuses. Excuses are comfortable. They protect you. They make you feel better in the moment. They explain why you didn't act, why you didn't try, why you didn't follow through. And because of that, most people rely on them. I'm too tired. I don't have time. I'll start tomorrow. It's not the right moment. These words feel harmless, but over time, they become a habit, a pattern of avoidance, because every excuse delays action, and delayed action becomes inaction. The Stoics had no patience for excuses. They believed in responsibility, in action, in doing what must be done. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily to stop complaining and start acting, because excuses do not change your life. Actions do. A strong person does not look for reasons to avoid. They look for ways to act, even when it is difficult, even when it is inconvenient. Each time you remove an excuse, you build discipline. Each time you justify inaction, you weaken it. This is the difference between someone who grows and someone who stays the same. If this message is making you aware of your excuses, good, because awareness breaks patterns. Action changes everything. 8. You waste more time than you think. Time is the most valuable thing you have, but most people treat it casually. They waste it in small moments, without realizing it, scrolling, procrastinating, delaying what matters, telling themselves they will start later. And those small moments add up. Minutes become hours, hours become days, days become years. Until one day, they look back and realize how much was lost. The philosopher Seneca warned that it is not that life is short, but that we waste much of it. And that truth is still real today, because distractions are everywhere, constantly pulling your attention, offering easy escape, and most people accept it. They do not question how they spend their time. They do not track it. They do not control it. A strong person does something different. They become aware. They notice patterns. They eliminate waste, not perfectly, but intentionally, because they understand something powerful. Time is life, and how you spend it determines how you live. Each time you waste time, you lose progress. Each time you use it intentionally, you move forward. This is the difference between regret and growth, because your future is built with your time. 9. You avoid responsibility. There is a moment in life that separates the weak from the strong. A moment when you stop blaming, stop complaining, stop pointing at everything outside of you, and instead, you take responsibility, full responsibility for your life, your choices, your habits, your results. Most people avoid this because it is uncomfortable, it removes excuses, it forces you to face reality, but it also gives you something powerful, control, because the moment you take responsibility, you take back power. The Stoics believe that while you cannot control everything, you can control how you respond, and that response shapes your life. The philosopher Epictetus taught that you must focus on what is within your control, and that begins with yourself. A strong person does not say, "This is happening to me." They say, "What can I do about this?" They shift from victim to actor, from passive to active, from waiting to building. Each time you take responsibility, you grow. Each time you avoid it, you stay the same. This is the choice, and it is always yours. If this message is helping you take responsibility, subscribe to the channel, because responsibility creates power. 10. You haven't taken control of your identity. Everything you do is based on who you believe you are, not what you say, not what you want, but what you believe. If you believe you are undisciplined, you will act that way. If you believe you are weak, you will prove it through your actions. If you believe you lack control, you will continue to lose it. This is the hidden force shaping your life, your identity. Most people never question it. They accept it. They repeat it. They reinforce it daily through their actions, through their habits, through their choices, and over time, it becomes fixed. But the Stoics understood something powerful. Your identity is not permanent. It is built. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily of the kind of person he needed to be, not based on feelings, but on principles. Because identity is shaped through repetition. A strong person does not wait to feel disciplined. They act disciplined. They do not wait to feel strong. They act strong. And over time, those actions become identity. Each time you act with control, you reinforce strength. Each time you give in, you reinforce weakness. This is the process, and it is always happening. If you want to change your life, you must change your identity, not by thinking differently, but by acting differently. Because who you become is built daily. 11. You need to build unbreakable discipline. Discipline is not something you use sometimes, it is something you live by. It is not temporary, it is not optional, it is constant. Most people treat discipline like a tool, something they use when they feel motivated. But that is not discipline, that is convenience. Real discipline shows up when you don't feel like it, when it is hard, when it is uncomfortable, when you would rather do anything else. That is where strength is built. The Stoics lived by this principle. The philosopher Epictetus taught that you must train yourself, daily, consistently, without excuse, because discipline is a practice, not a decision. A strong person does not rely on motivation, they rely on structure, routine, consistency, because those things remove choice. They remove hesitation, they create action. Each time you act with discipline, you strengthen it. Each time you avoid it, you weaken it. Over time, this becomes your standard. You no longer ask if you should act, you simply act, because that is who you are. This is unbreakable discipline, and it changes everything, because discipline is the foundation of strength. You must act even when it's hard. There will always be moments when things feel difficult, when your energy is low, when your motivation is gone, when your mind tells you to stop. And this is where most people quit, not because they can't continue, but because it feels hard. But a strong person understands something different. Difficulty is part of the process, not a sign to stop. The Stoics accepted hardship. They expected it. They prepared for it. Because they knew that growth is not comfortable. The philosopher Seneca believed that adversity strengthens the mind. That challenge builds resilience. And that without difficulty, there is no growth. A strong person does not avoid hard moments. They move through them. They continue. Even when it is uncomfortable, even when it is slow, even when progress is not visible. Each time you act despite difficulty, you build resilience. Each time you stop because it is hard, reinforce weakness. This is the difference between those who succeed and those who remain stuck, because strength is built in difficult moments. 13. Consistency is what separates the strong from the weak. Most people think strength comes from big moments, from big decisions, from sudden change. But that is not how it works. Real strength is built quietly, through repetition, through consistency, through doing the same things, over and over again, even when it feels boring, even when it feels slow, even when it feels like nothing is happening. This is where most people fail. They start strong, motivated, focused, driven, but over time, they lose that energy, they stop, they restart, they lose momentum, and because of that, they never see results. But a strong person understands something deeper. Consistency matters more than intensity, because intensity fades, but consistency compounds. The Stoics lived by this principle. They practiced discipline daily, not occasionally, not when it was convenient, but consistently. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself every day, reminding himself how to think, how to act, how to live, because he understood that repetition creates identity. Each time you repeat a disciplined action, you reinforce it, you make it easier, stronger, more natural, until eventually it becomes automatic. This is the power of consistency. It removes resistance. It removes hesitation. It removes the need for motivation, because now you are not relying on how you feel. You are relying on who you are. Each day you show up, you build strength. Each day you don't, you lose momentum. This is the trade, and it is happening constantly, because consistency is what creates transformation. At the end of it all, everything comes down to one thing: control. Not control over the world, not control over other people, but control over yourself, your thoughts, your emotions, your actions. This is what determines your life, not what happens to you, but how you respond to it. Most people never realize this. They spend their lives reacting, following impulses, avoiding discomfort, making excuses, and because of that, they never take control. But the moment you understand this truth, everything changes. Because now, you see the problem clearly. And when you see the problem, you can solve it. Each time you pause instead of reacting, you build control. Each time you resist an urge, you build discipline. Each time you choose discomfort, you build strength. Each time you act despite how you feel, you build resilience. And over time, those small actions create something powerful. A strong mind, a disciplined life, a sense of control that most people never experience. This is the difference between those who feel weak and those who feel in control. And it all begins with one decision: to take responsibility, to act, to build discipline daily. If you made it this far, it means something in you is ready. Ready to change, ready to grow, ready to take control. But awareness is not enough. Understanding is not enough. Action is what matters. Take one thing from this video. Apply it today. Not tomorrow. Not later. Today. Because that is where strength begins. If this video gave you clarity, if it challenged your thinking, if it pushed you to take control, subscribe to the channel. Because this is where you build discipline. This is where you build focus. This is where you build a stronger mind. And when you master yourself, you master your life.